The rain fell in heavy sheets, soaking the sidewalks and turning the streets of downtown into silver rivers. Amidst the blur of motion and honking horns, Olivia Carter's luxury SUV sat stranded in the middle of a traffic-clogged intersection. Hazard lights blinked their rhythmic warning as drivers behind her gestured in frustration and swerved past. But inside the vehicle, Olivia's world had shrunk to the stubborn silence of an engine that refused to start. Her fingers gripped the steering wheel tightly, the damp hem of her coat brushing against her knees. She had run back and forth from the driver's seat to the hood more times than she could count. But each time, the engine remained dead. Her phone showed no signal. The roadside assistance app spun uselessly. The drizzle had soaked her hair and run rivulets down her cheeks, blurring with the frustration already simmering inside her. And then she saw him. At first, he was just another shape in the city, a hunched figure in a tattered jacket, jeans soaked to the knees, boots thudding through puddles. But something about his movement caught her eye. He wasn't stumbling or loitering. He moved with intent, weaving through traffic, heading straight for her. As he drew closer, Olivia felt her fingers twitch toward the door lock. Her instincts, sharpened by a life lived in boardrooms and gated neighborhoods, screamed at her to be cautious. But when she looked into his face, weathered, tired, and framed by rain-slicked curls, she didn't see danger. She saw compassion. "Ma'am," he said, his voice hoarse from the cold but calm, respectful. "Looks like it's your battery connection. I can take care of it if you'll let me." Olivia hesitated for a heartbeat too long. The rain intensified. No one else had stopped. No one else even looked her way. Finally, she nodded. The man gave a slight smile, a quiet one, not full of bravado, but the kind of smile a man offers when he's simply glad to be useful. Without another word, he moved to the hood. Olivia watched from behind the windshield, her breath fogging the glass. His hands worked fast and expertly, fingers moving with the precision of someone who knew engines like old friends. Within minutes, the engine sputtered, coughed, and roared to life. He stepped back, wiping his hands on his jacket, rain dripping from his hair. He didn't ask for anything, didn't wait for thanks, just nodded once more and turned to leave. "Wait," Olivia called, stepping out into the rain. "What's your name?" He paused. "Miles Turner." Then he was gone, swallowed by the steady march of umbrellas and hurrying feet. Olivia stood there, water soaking into her expensive shoes, her heart pounding with something she couldn't quite name. Days passed, but she couldn't shake the image of him. She asked around, searched shelters, wandered streets she had never dared to walk before. Eventually, she found someone who recognized the name. "Miles?" "Yeah," said a volunteer at the shelter. "Used to run Turner Automotive. Best mechanic in the city. Got hit hard after a drunk driver wrecked his place. Hospital bills, lost everything. Been helping folks where he can ever since. Never stopped fixing things." Olivia left the shelter with tears stinging her eyes and a purpose she hadn't felt in years. She made calls, pulled strings, moved funds through a quiet foundation. Within weeks, she had cleared his debts, secured a small garage on the outskirts of town, and restored the broken threads of a life that deserved more. She never told him it was her. But one day she returned, SUV humming perfectly. The sun gleamed off the new sign, Turner Garage. "Second chances given here." Miles was there, wiping his hands on a clean rag, wearing a navy work shirt with his name stitched above the pocket. Their eyes met. "Just an oil change," she said, voice cracking slightly. He smiled, warm and real. "You got it." In that garage, beneath the golden glow of the setting sun, Olivia realized what had changed. Not just her vehicle, not just his fortune, but something deeper, something human. They had both been seen. And that had made all the difference. He hadn't just fixed her car. He had fixed something in her that she hadn't even known was broken. And this time the world saw him. Truly saw him. Miles Turner, the mechanic. The man. The quiet hero who reminded one woman, Anne, through her, many others, that sometimes the kindest hands come from the most unexpected places. Over the months that followed, Olivia visited Turner Garage often. Sometimes it was for minor repairs. Sometimes it was just to bring fresh coffee and pastries from the bakery 2 blocks over. Each time, Miles welcomed her with the same steady warmth, never prying, never boasting, just present. Word spread. Not about Olivia, but about the garage, about the man who could fix anything and asked for nothing but honesty in return. Neighbors came. Then strangers. then a few old customers who thought they'd lost him forever. Turner Garage became more than a shop. It became a place of quiet redemption. One afternoon, a local reporter dropped by, intrigued by the stream of people pouring into a tiny garage tucked behind a hardware store. Olivia watched from across the street as the reporter asked Miles for an interview. Miles declined politely. He wasn't interested in headlines. He just wanted to work. That night, Olivia sat on her balcony, a mug of tea warming her hands, the city lights glittering beneath a cloudless sky. She thought about everything that had changed since the rain. Her heart, once guarded by wealth and routine, now beat with a different rhythm. She was still a woman of means, still lived in a penthouse, still dined with CEOs. But inside, something fundamental had shifted. She had been saved, not by a surgeon or a lawyer or a Wall Street genius, but by a man the world had tried to forget. A man with grease under his nails and dignity in his spine. A man who reminded her that true character isn't when it's revealed. She didn't know what the future would hold. Maybe Miles would expand the shop. Maybe he wouldn't. Maybe he'd stay humble and small and grounded. Whatever happened, Olivia knew she would be there. As a friend, a customer, maybe something more. But always as someone who understood the gift he had given her, not just a second chance for himself, but a second chance for her, too. And whenever it rained, whenever the sky wept over the city, she would remember the day everything changed. The day a man stepped out of the shadows and helped without hesitation. The day Olivia Carter stopped seeing people for what they wore and started seeing them for who they truly were. And in that truth, she found not just hope, but purpose. Turner Garage kept its door open 6 days a week. On the 7th, Miles volunteered at the shelter where he once stayed. He didn't say much about it, but Olivia knew. He was giving back. Quietly, steadily, the way he always had. And every now and then, someone new would walk into the garage desperate, discouraged, soaked in more than just rain. Miles would welcome them with a nod, a cup of coffee, and hands ready to help. Because kindness, once set in motion, doesn't stop. It builds. It grows. And it saves. One bolt, one gesture, one heart at a time. The rain fell in heavy sheets, soaking the sidewalks and turning the streets of downtown into silver rivers. Amidst the blur of motion and honking horns, Olivia Carter's luxury SUV sat stranded in the middle of a traffic-clogged intersection. Hazard lights blinked their rhythmic warning as drivers behind her gestured in frustration and swerved past. But inside the vehicle, Olivia's world had shrunk to the stubborn silence of an engine that refused to start. Her fingers gripped the steering wheel tightly, the damp hem of her coat brushing against her knees. She had run back and forth from the driver's seat to the hood more times than she could count. But each time, the engine remained dead. Her phone showed no signal. The roadside assistance app spun uselessly. The drizzle had soaked her hair and run rivulets down her cheeks, blurring with the frustration already simmering inside her. And then she saw him. At first, he was just another shape in the city, a hunched figure in a tattered jacket,